Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tipsy Ghosts. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsey.
Hey guys.
Hi.
We just had a real Wayne's World introduction.
I feel weird.
Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
No.
Oh, it's exactly what Lindsey just did. You go 5, 4, and you can't count the last, and they have to keep redoing it over and over. That was oddly specific in my brain. That memory. Okay, anyhow.
We went to a place again.
Yes.
We did a revisit.
A revisit to a location that is haunted.
All of the above. Mm-hmm.
The Missouri State Pen in Jefferson City. The MISP. Nobody ever called it that, but we will. So we went to Missouri State Pen about a year and a half ago, and that is episode 38.
Yes.
38. If you want to go back and listen to it, because we're going to go into a lot more detail there on that episode as to the history of this place, and there's a ton of history to this place. We're just going to briefly go over the history because we have a lot to cover because this is a ginormous place. The Missouri State Pen was built in, or wasn't built, but it opened in 1836 in Jeff City, which is the capital of Missouri. It housed inmates for 168 years and was the oldest continually operating prison west of the Mississippi until it was decommissioned in 2004. So it is endearingly called the bloodiest 47 acres in America.
Yeah. I have a sweatshirt to prove it.
She does. There was obviously a lot of inmates here. They had gas chambers. There was a lot of executions, escapes, and there was even a famous prison riot in 1954 as well. So this place, like I said, is huge. It is several buildings, kind of just a ginormous campus. So we are just going to really get right into it and go over our evidence from there. And like I said, make sure you check out episode 38 if you want to hear all of the history to each building and as well as some of the famous inmates that are there.
Yeah. We should probably start by saying this was a group investigation.
Yes, it was.
A groupagation.
Groupstigation.
Groupstigation. There it is.
Yeah.
Groupstigations can be a little difficult.
They sure can.
This one was a little bit better because we didn't have Jiminy Cricket as much in the recordings.
Yes.
Last time we went in September, and it's just crickets the entire time. But this one,
hot too.
And it was hot. So it was easier as far as collecting evidence, I feel like, for that reason. But it's also difficult to collect evidence because this place is huge. There's echoes, and there's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
The groupstigation in a large area means lots of people, too. You know, I feel like it's a larger group than normal group investigations.
Yes.
That being said, I think we might have gotten a couple interesting things.
I think we did too. So let's start out. You guys want to start with Gin Pop?
Ooh, Gin Pop.
Gin Pop.
What is that short for?
Ginny Pop.
Of course we did.
That is
general population.
Yes.
It's not your death rows. It's not your women's units. It's just
not your most violent offenders, but also still not good people.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. They might have been
innocent.
Innocent.
Who knows? So my first one I had, I don't know about you guys, mine was on a random cell on the 4th floor.
Yep.
Yes, okay. I made everybody walk up to the 4th floor.
She did. She made us walk up to the 4th floor, so it's like your typical prison with cells just stacked on top of cells.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
a cage out there so you don't fall over the railing.
And so they had us go into different cells. We each had our own cell, and we're standing in there, and the guide was doing
Phasma box.
She was doing the Phasma box. And it was real echoey and hard to hear, which I think was also because we were on the 4th floor.
Yeah.
But she was getting lots of responses, I will say. Like, constant responses.
Yeah.
I did catch an orb right outside of Sarah's cell right away.
Okay.
This is pictures. Also where James Earl Ray was housed. He assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. Mm-hmm. So, like Lizzie said, we did the Phasma box. And then others heard Get Out. Leave, goddammit.
Oh.
And then for mine, what I heard on my recording, so we all went into our own cell. She said, introduce yourself, and we did. Another thing on the Phasma box, somebody asked, do you think you deserve to be here? And there was a very clear no on the Phasma.
Mm-hmm. So when they told us to introduce ourselves to our friends, I said, hey friends, my name's Lindsey. Sup? How's it hanging?
Of course you did.
I said, Ghosty Ghost, do you like it when I sing to you?
Oh my God.
You have so much street cred.
Ghosty Ghost, did you say?
Oh my gosh, I said Ghosty Ghost the entire night, and you guys kept yelling at me. And then I said, what was prison like? I hear it's awful.
I called out on the recorder that I heard a breath in the cell, but it's impossible to catch anything because there's so many people.
Okay, so we did go back to Gin Pop later by ourselves. And this time we were on the second floor. We did not climb up all 4 flights. And I got a growl and some heavy breathing.
Ew.
And so we were just like in separate cells again. We were all in like 1 or 2 cells, and I put my recorder in like 4 or 5 cells away from us. So this is what I got. And you can hear all the way throughout it, like just, we're kind of like further away. So it's literally on top of the recorder is what I'm getting at. Like it was a cell by itself. We were further away. We're distant. And then you hear this like almost angry breathing on top of it. So we went down to death row.
With the group.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were in the, I wouldn't say shower, because we were in a shower.
We were in a shower in the death row, so there was one shower.
Yeah.
At the end of all the cells. And it's kind of like we're locked behind these cells. And then the guide is like in front of just
like
walking
a cage
back and forth.
almost.
Like a cage, yeah. The guide had us singing to get a reaction from spirits because they like it when we sing.
There was some things that happened before the singing.
Before the singing.
Should we go through those?
When someone screamed as they saw a black shadow.
And my ears bled.
I'm pretty sure we all wrote the same thing. Someone screamed and made my ears bleed.
It was so loud.
And then I say, why does this never happen to me?
Yes, you do.
It was just a minute and 30 seconds in. Where she would start screaming that she sees an apparition. And I'm like, where? So this was a woman who earlier in the night, and we'll talk about that when we get to that location, she had been scratched in the face by a ghosty ghost.
And so we lovingly called her Scratch Face Girl because we don't know her name.
We don't know her name.
I mean, and she was scratched in the face by a ghost. Lindsey said we can't call her that. And I said, but she was scratched in the face.
No, that's literally, we called her that because we don't know her name.
I don't know her name.
And she was scratched in the face. And she is also female.
Scratch Face Girl did see an apparition right away and screamed.
Yes.
She had been scratched in the face before, so maybe she was a little just not having it.
Honestly, though, like if you don't do this all the time,
right?
Like we do this maybe once a month,
yeah.
Like we're kind of used to it. But if you're semi new to this, and you get scratched in the face, and then all of a sudden in a different location, you see a dark shadow, that would be pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
I get why she screamed.
Yeah.
I am not personally a screamer, but I get it.
Yeah.
No, I think we were just more jealous because Boydston says, right, in the recording, why does that never happen to me?
I was so jealous.
I was like too, because 7 minutes in, she feels touched, and she yells out that something just touched her. And in my recorder, I said, are you serious? Again, It's the jealousy.
Yeah, so that's when I wrote down things like we were saying, I like balls, and I love a good music box. Why we said this, I don't know. We were talking about the tools being
cat
used.
balls.
Yes. Yeah, we were highly entertaining. And then she was hollering at, remember, asking for music suggestions.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And I said, Unchained Melody from Ghost. I thought that was pretty clever.
It was clever.
And Boydston says Cell Block Tango.
That was a good.
I also thought was.
I like that.
Clever.
See, I think it's clever, but also, is that a little insensitive?
No. Instead, we sang My Girl.
We sure did.
In this order: Stand By Me, Respect, RESPCT.
That's right.
And then we sang My Girl.
There was a lot of really loud singing. Had a good time.
Another thing that I thought was really funny is, so Sarah, Lindsey, and I are all in this little shower area. And so we're together, and of course when we're together we're talking, but mostly Sarah and Lindsey because I don't like getting in trouble.
Oh my gosh, the guide kept telling us to shut up.
She did. So I had a counter. I tallied each time that you guys got in trouble for talking. And the number was 4 in a 15-minute recording.
We kept, like, to be fair, other people are whispering. Scratch Girl is screaming.
Scratch Face Girl is screaming.
And we are just talking to ourselves quietly. And she goes, please be quiet.
No, it was way more rude than
A
that.
little more aggressive. I said we couldn't talk, we couldn't have lights on, we couldn't breathe, and we could not exist.
But just us. Like everybody else could, but as soon as we did, you guys, we just keep it down. Like it was a lot.
Obnoxious either. No, and I will admit that we can be obnoxious.
No, we were not. In fact, at one point, I said, "Are you kidding me?" As soon as she said that, and they both shushed me because they were afraid I was going to get us kicked out.
Yes,
but I was so irritated by that.
I was kind of irritated too listening back. I don't remember being that irritated during it, but I remember now.
Because like Lindsey said, I mean, we weren't being that. I know we can be loud, but we were still
whispering.
Yes.
And I was even like in my recorder, I'm calling out things like that's someone moving, that's someone moving. And she's telling us to be quiet. I'm like, I am calling out for the recorder.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's why I was irritated. I'm like, well, you know what? We are paying you to be here. Don't shush me. Right. That was rude.
So interestingly enough, somebody says a lot of the guys that were put in here did not deserve to be here. And then right after that, I get a moan.
Oh.
In the recorder.
Definitely deserves to be in here.
Sarah's spirit ears called out my sniffle, and I said, I did not sniffle.
You didn't sniffle.
I did not. So that
I caught it too. And I was going to say, actually, could you hear it on your recorder, the sniff? Because I can on mine. That was Lindsey sniffing in really loud. You didn't? You were
and
so mad at
like
me.
It was a long. Listen, stop when your spirit ears are on. Stop blaming it on me. It's not me.
Twice now I've blamed like an evil growl on your sniffle,
and you don't even ask me. You just go to your recorder, Lindsey sniffling. Like that's not me.
I thought I was just calling it out.
I will say that I got something that sounds like a growl at one point, so I'm wondering if that is your moan. So I don't know what that was. Somebody also called out that something was knocked out of a cell. Did you guys get that? I don't know if it was a cat ball.
No, but you were like kind of sitting closer to the opening, and I couldn't hear as well.
I couldn't hear it because it was when the music was going on, so I really couldn't understand it. But the music was going, and somebody was like, "Oh, this just got knocked out of the cell." And I was like, "What?" Oh, so I'm assuming it's a cat ball. I don't know. I don't remember either. People reported seeing lights that were not cat balls at the end of the hall. And then I did get a bang at one point that kind of sounded like a cell door closing. After death row, we went to solitary confinement, which is also called the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 5 minutes in, let the record show that Sarah heard a click in the cell behind her.
I have a let the record show that Lindsey likes to be touched.
And yes, and I was like, me, pick me, because she was asking people to go off to places by themselves. Yes. And I had my hand in the air for so long.
I remember.
In the dark.
I said, if she picks me, I'll tell her to send you.
I had a little bit of some spirit ears here because I heard a thump and an exhale, and I called them both out and heard them with my ears.
Ooh.
And I caught them both on audio.
Okay.
So at this point, like if you guys remember from the last time we went, like I got to go all the way back by the shower. So I'm kind of back there at this point. You guys are still in your cell.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who is next to me says he sees something in the cell across from him. And that's literally all he said was, I see something. So I don't know what he saw. Then you guys are called and you guys get to go to the shower.
We do.
And I put the Sarahs are the best because that's what I was saying in my recorder.
Aww.
She's like, you guys are both named Sarah? And I go, yes, the Sarahs are the best.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. There is the sound of something dropping, but nobody claimed it. And our guide, I even remember, said, did somebody drop something? What was that?
Okay.
And
that's probably why I put group calls out a loud noise, but I can't hear it.
Yes.
Down there.
And knocking and cell.
So Sarah and I are in the shower at this point by ourselves. And the group says that they feel like it's getting darker in there.
Like at the end of the hall, because the shower's at the end of the hall.
Yes. Which I think Sarah and I are like, I mean, it's dark out.
It's pitch black.
It's just getting darker.
They said, is it darker? And Boydston says, I mean, it's the same amount of dark. I actually wrote it down.
Sounds like me.
It is the same amount of dark. That's funny.
We say that we hear a couple of clicks, but I don't hear it on my recording. But what I do hear is that Sarah says that she hears like a and then she calls it out, and then I did very faintly hear it on the recorder. I don't know if I'll be able to isolate it. I have...
Oh, yeah, I do. I said humming noise. Hard to tell where it came from.
Yeah, if you remember the Malvern, the most Malvern 2 episode, the most recent Malvern.
Return to Malvern.
We got this new recorder, and it's terrible, and that is... before I found out it was terrible, I also used it at Missouri State Penn.
I was wondering if we use that.
I do have this recorder, but I this time got a few good EVPs. So
yeah, good to know.
I still don't think it's a good recorder.
But maybe Sarah's, since you guys were together, Sarah's might be able to isolate.
I did write it down, humming noise. Hard to tell where it came from, but I do call it out a few seconds later, so I'm sure that's what you're talking about. And just to add in my 2 cents, Boydston, while you and I were down with the rest of the group, and Lindsey was in the shower, we were having a conversation, and I asked, what would be your prison name?
Oh my gosh. No wonder you kept getting in trouble.
I didn't this time. I whispered quietly. I responded first, surprisingly, because I'm normally not as witty.
Was it Prison Mike?
It was Stabby Sarah.
That's even better. Did you stab someone? You're like, no, I forged checks.
No, but it sounds catchy. And then you suggested, how about Shanky Shine?
Oh, yeah, Shanky Shine.
Shanky Shine. But you didn't come up with one of your own. So you could be Stabby Sarah. And what would be yours?
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is Loose, and I don't think that's what you want.
Lucy Lindsay.
Loose Lindsay.
I don't want to be loose.
Oh, Loose Lips Lindsay.
Larson Lindsay. Larson?
Larson?
Is that
Arson?
Arson.
Grand Larceny.
Okay, yeah.
Larceny and Lindsay.
Larceny.
I don't like it. We also got to go, we went alone back to the hole.
Yes, we did.
And at this point, we went to the shower, all 3 of us. Boydston, you were doing Phasmabox, and we had our REM pod set up and all that. And I believe that we were down there alone. Like, there wasn't another group near us.
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote, we are alone.
Okay, perfect. I thought we were because I didn't hear anybody else on the recording. About 10 minutes in, Boydston, who has her headphones in for the noise canceling, Sarah and I both hear a growl, and we both go, that was Boydston's stomach. And then we asked Boydston if it was her stomach, and it was not.
Yep.
Don't try and blame these things on me.
Did either one of you get a good audio of that?
I think I did.
So it was a pretty deep growl that Sarah and I both heard. The only reason Boydston didn't was because she had headphones in.
Yep.
And then Boydston, you said through the Phasmabox that there was between 700 to 200 spirits with us. And Sarah and I both were like, that's a big range.
Right.
The REM pod did go off at one point. Boydston, you said, we hear it when we were talking about the REM pod going off. And we said, hey, thanks for finding the REM pod. And Boydston said, don't you forget it. I burped. Did my vomit burp like how I do. And Boydston heard on the record or on the Phasmabox, gross.
And it's greasy.
Yes.
Ew.
Yes.
And I don't feel like it was greasy, but it might have been. You also said Sarah's.
Yes.
And then you felt or heard something in your ear. Do you remember this?
Barely. I barely remember it, but I did listen to it. And I sounded really startled.
You did.
You were very freaked out.
Which I guess I don't startle very easily, especially in these places. But on the recording, you can hear me just say, like, what was that? I felt something sort of like breathe on me.
Did you catch anything before that?
I did not.
I caught a male EVP right before that.
Oh.
So that was, and I didn't hear it at first, and I put Boydston heard something, and I went back and listened.
Validate me.
It's hard to tell because I will say me and Sarah are talking. But you can hear, like I said, we're alone, and it is a pretty deep voice. I can't catch what it says. So it's literally
cool.
22, or I have it from 47 seconds to 49 seconds, and at 50 is when you're like, I felt something.
Ooh.
Weird.
So I did catch something, some kind of male deep voice saying something. I don't know what it was. I will say about 30 seconds after we caught that male, deep voice, you put the headphones back on, and then you heard screaming, and you were like, no, not a fan, I'm done.
I wrote deep guttural screams and be tapped out. And then I said I got cold and chills.
Yes.
I put down, I said, just go, leave, get out. And around that time I heard screaming and I was like, yeah, I'm done here.
Mm-hmm.
Some interesting things too that you said with the Phasma box. Lindsey asks, why is it called the hole? And you say, because it's pretty spooky. And she said, why are you here? And you said, guns.
Oh.
And then, I don't know if you guys remember, but the REM pod was doing weird things.
They kept going off. I remember that.
It was like going off but making weird noises. And Boydston
Yeah.
kept saying, I've never heard it do that before. It had brand new batteries. So
Yeah, I wrote weird click, short flashes on the REM pod.
Yeah.
And then I said REM doing weird things.
And Lindsey said, do you have friends who died in the gas chamber? And Boydston said several.
Mm.
And then Lindsey and I both call out several taps that we hear.
Uh-huh. I wrote that we heard them. I couldn't catch anything on recording. I don't know if you did.
I can hear the tapping. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But it just sounds like clicking
Yeah.
on there. At one point, when the REM pad goes off, I was totally enthralled with this meat thermometer. And I was zapping it at the REM pod
I remember that.
to see if there was a temperature change. So
Was
I could
there?
document it. I wrote down 56.4 degrees.
That feels chilly.
It was chilly. And the other time was 56.1. There was a 0.3 temperature
0.3?
drop.
What?
But I did say, Boydston says, I feel like my eyes are gone.
Like she heard that through the Phasma box?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I was like, what happened to
I was
your
like,
eyes?
That's scary.
And you also say Adam and Nick.
Which, to circle back, which we haven't talked about this in this episode, but in the first episode of Missouri State Pen we did, there was a man who was in solitary confinement, remember, who actually lost his eyesight because he was in pretty much pitch black darkness for 23 hours of the day.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the dungeon, so a different part of
Right.
a different part of the penitentiary, but he actually lost his eyesight
Yes, he did.
because of being in darkness. So that's interesting that you said that she said, I
Yeah.
feel like I've lost my eyes.
I lost my eyes. And then I
Interesting.
think I caught some footsteps on there.
Okay.
We thought, actually, Lindsey and I called out that people might be coming down the hallway, but
Yes,
they
I
weren't.
did catch that. We kept thinking we were hearing someone coming down. Because
Yeah.
like I said, we're at the very end of the hallway.
Right.
And nobody ever came down.
And they didn't come down. So, yeah, we got some stuff down there.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy place. Death row isolation rooms.
So we were doing night vision here, but I did catch footsteps when we asked them to make a noise. Pretty loud. And I listened to it quite a few times just to make sure we weren't moving and we were not.
Mhm.
And it's quick footsteps.
Mhm.
Right when I was getting ready to shut off the recorder, this session is 14 minutes and 27 seconds. 10 seconds before that, I caught a male EVP. I was like, really?
These were weird rooms. I don't remember seeing them last time. I'm sure they were there, obviously, but I don't remember spending time in these rooms.
I feel like we got to explore a lot more than we did last time because
Yeah.
we kind of knew where things were this time
Yeah.
and where
yes.
we didn't spend time.
That's true. And these rooms were kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure they weren't, again, at the time,
Right.
but they were very tall and large. And I
what she
called them tall and large.
Never know.
Large, maybe.
Large.
Right. So yeah, I identified them as the death row isolation rooms. And this is where we spent some time videoing with the night vision camera.
Which we will post to social media for you guys to see.
Yeah. I did write that there were lots of stomach noises going on through this.
We must have just had a snack because, yes, we kept
This was
pulling
at
out our
4:30 in the morning. We didn't get anything through the spirit box, and it felt pretty quiet in there, but Boydston and I heard a breath before we started recording, of course.
Okay.
But I did catch a very weird growl.
Interesting.
And this is where I started my fascination with the meat thermometer. I was just aiming it at everything that I could.
I do remember listening to you talking about the temperatures, and I was like, oh, Sarah.
So at one point, the REM pod went off. We're
Is
in
this
these
your growl?
weird isolation rooms.
Okay.
And the first one I said, deep male voice.
Okay.
And then a little bit later, not much, but I did hear a whisper, and then I called it out. So there you go. I actually got some.
We got some good
stuff
stuff.
there.
We also went to the gas chamber, which this is last time we were there. Sarah, you kind of were hit with a lot of feelings of emotions.
Yes, yeah, it's kind
Sadness.
of embarrassing, but it's true. It's just an emotional place, anyways.
is.
But I definitely was emotional the first time I was there.
You know, it's interesting because Lindsey doesn't feel like spiritual things, but I did hear her say, we were making a recording, like a video recording at the time. And I hear her saying that Lindsey feels peace, kind of a sense of calmness in the chamber. And then as she leaves, she says, it just feels sad out here.
Ew.
Which is...
It's true. It
new
does.
for you.
We didn't spend a ton of time here, but yes, it is like a somber kind of place.
Yeah, I mean, it's spooky because it's a gas chamber, obviously.
Sure.
But it's so much more to it, and it does feel like there are things just lingering there.
And there was, I talked about this kind of in the recordings, just, you know, we go to places that have death, obviously. People die in the places we go to, and we know this. But, like, this is a purposeful death. Like, these people know they are going to die, and so we walk the same walk that they walk down to the gas chambers. We're sitting in the chairs. We're seeing exactly what they saw literally as they're dying.
Right. You look in a mirror so that the family or whomever is watching can see the faces of those people.
It's just a very
as they're dying. It's really kind of morbid.
It really is.
It is.
And I remember saying on my recorder, too, that I learned this time that they will execute 2 people at a time.
Yes. They're sitting side by side.
I don't remember learning that the first time.
Right.
So, I mean, how weird.
But we joke a lot while we are ghost hunting. Like, we make jokes. Obviously, you guys have been listening to us. We are ridiculous.
Yes.
But I will say, in the gas chamber is the one recording I had where we were not joking around. We were very serious. We were very you could tell we were subdued.
Yeah.
It's wild just to know that many, maybe, of those people died unjustly.
Right.
Correct.
Well, because right before we went there, I did a story about someone who was executed there who was found out to have been innocent.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that was kind of all weighing on our minds as well.
Interestingly, I did get an EVP. I can't make it out.
Okay.
All right, so
So let's do our group section first, shall we?
All right, so I started off by saying this is the no roof building, and Boydston says, let the record show.
She did.
That there is now a roof, and I said, let the record show that Boydston is correct. And 1 minute later, I'm already embarrassing her, and she tells me I'm embarrassing her.
That is exactly right.
Sounds right.
Lindsey makes noise, and the guide asks if that was somebody, and Boydston says, you're embarrassing us.
So for just a brief history on this, I almost said floor, this unit, this building, it used to not have a roof because of a tornado that came through Joplin and Jefferson City and hit everything.
You don't know about the tornado?
You don't know? Oh my gosh. So now, last time we went, there was no roof. Now there is a roof.
The roof has been raised.
The roof has been rebuilt. So this place is it 3 levels?
Something like that.
All right. So it is 3 levels of just cells. This is kind of like a gen pop. Like, they were able to congregate out in the middle and everything. So they weren't like solitary confinement. There is a dungeon below, which we will get to that place later. So we are in a big group setting. They divided us up into 4 groups, and one by one group, we got to go in the dungeon. We were the last group to go to the dungeon. Right. So this place is huge. It's very big. They had a laser grid set up, and they said there was a lot of shadows like up on the 2nd and 3rd floors, which we cannot go up to.
Right.
That's just kind of the background of where we are.
Yes.
The guy in front of us heard something like a This place is kind of where I think the coolest thing happened to us, and also the scariest thing for Sarah.
I'm excited for this.
Are you calling that the coolest thing?
The door was the coolest thing.
The door, yeah. I'm excited for Lindsey because she got very excited about this.
She did.
Tell us what happened.
This is like literally 4 minutes in. We are not there very long.
4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Yes. So the guide is up there. She's asking for noises, and she thinks she hears something. She says, I'm going to need a lot bigger noise than that from you. And said, like, how do I know that wasn't the wind? Which it was windy. As soon as she says that, and we are in the very, very back. Like, I think I'm even standing.
You are.
Everybody else is sitting. You guys are sitting in seats. I am standing behind you guys. And behind me is the door to get out. And as soon as she says that, the door shuts behind us. Like, there's 2 doors. And
it's like a little passageway.
It's like a little passageway, yeah. So like a wind kind of draft, I could get that. But
it wasn't that.
It wasn't that. So the door shut behind us, and It was very slow, and everybody turned and looked at it. And I turned and looked, and because I was right by it, I watched both doors close on their own. And the guide is like, oh my gosh, what is that? Blah, blah, let's go investigate. And I said, let's go. And so I go with her. And in my recorder, I say, it could be the wind. The wind is crazy right now.
That's true. And Boydston says, Lindsey, the resident party pooper.
But then what is also cool that happens, so we go outside to make sure nobody's outside. Yeah. Nothing's going on. Nobody's outside. But as me and the guide get to the doors to open them, both doors opened for us right away. True. Before we even got to them.
Yes.
Which I said in my recorder, I think the opening was the wind draft, because when we went to the first one, like, they both kind of opened, and there is a draft. I could see how they could both open at the same time.
But it never happened again.
It did not happen again.
Weird.
And it was one of those things where it closed so slowly, and like you could hear it dragging, that you fully expect somebody to be pushing it close. So you weren't scared at all, because you turned around and I thought somebody was closing it behind them.
Yes. So we looked, and there was nobody out there. There was nobody around that would have just like come in and come out. So
yeah,
I was a little bit crazy, I will say.
I mean, it was pretty good. I thought
watching the doors close was pretty crazy. And then literally we got to the doors and they just opened for us. And me and the guide kind of looked at each other. We're like, okay.
I mean, those are the things that we go for.
And then what happened right after the doors, guys?
There was a bat flying around. Sarah shrieks, and then I shelter her with my body, and then Lindsey comes and shelters her even more with her body.
She did. And then she was on the lookout for me.
Put, quote, I will protect you with my body.
All I could think of is this damn bat dive bombing my head.
What? So what we heard was like a sound of rustling. We're like, oh my gosh, what is that? And then we all saw the bat, and the guide was like, oh, it's just a bat. And Sarah,
I melted into a puddle. I can't handle it. And poor Lindsey, she was like, I'll look out for you for this bat. And I kept going, how can you see it in the dark?
That's literally what I put. That I would look out for it, and you go, you cannot see it in the dark. How will you see it? Attach my neck.
You're like, I can still see it. I'm like, no, you can't.
I literally, so Boydston had her body covering Sarah while she's crouched, and I had my back to both of them, and I was like standing there, arms outstretched, watching for the bat.
I don't know what it is. I just
you have the best friends.
I really do. I almost said you really do.
We are such good friends.
Let the record show. I do the same for you. I love you both.
Oh, thank you.
But thank you for protecting me from this horrifying bat.
Yes.
That clearly would have murdered me if you weren't protecting me.
You did great. And during this whole bat fiasco, a purple light did light up. Do you remember that? Up by the laser grid, like it went purple for a second. She's like, I've never seen it do that. Guards did come in at one point. Guards who used to be guards there.
Like real guards.
Yeah, they were real guards, and they used to be guards at Missouri State Pen when it was functioning. And they said that there's a spirit named Scott who hangs out. And so we tried to talk to Scott quite a bit. There was a thud that we all heard that nobody called out.
I heard a growl during the talking.
I did not.
But the most compelling thing that I heard was somebody said, do you want us to leave? And I heard a no.
Oh.
That's like a clear.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if that was somebody. But it doesn't sound like anyone called it out.
No.
No, like why would somebody be like, no, I don't want to leave?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't sound like any of us.
Do you want us to leave? No. 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 No.
One of the guards asked about Scott, like you said, and some people say that they see the Scott figure. Scratch Face Girl sees Scott.
She sees Scott by his room and she screams again. And I'm like...
But I also see the guy next to me sounds really excited about the shadows upstairs.
I will say the thud that I caught was 10 seconds before she saw Scott.
Oh.
So here's the thud.
As you hear that thud, people say, yeah, I saw him. Like, I saw Scott. And they told the guard where they saw him. And he's like, yeah, that's where we see him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually later on in the recording, that same guard gets tapped on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. And he did say Scott is an intelligent spirit who goes to various places around the I almost said hospital.
Yeah.
Goes to various places around the penitentiary.
Apparently cell 39 is someplace that people get a lot of like flashes of light, and so somebody saw a flash, and then I don't know who, but somebody said,
I know who.
Flash a light if you want to see some titties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone said, flash the light if you want to see some titties. I said, you speak for yourself, pretty much. And everybody else laughed. And then Boydston quietly to me and you,
God.
Sarah, goes,
I didn't think anybody else heard that.
I might.
I might consider it.
And I said, this is perhaps the worst hardcore that I think we've ever had. And after that, the lights did flash. So maybe there was some dirty ghosts.
They heard you, Boydston.
They did.
For the record, I did not flash some titties.
Thank
You just thought about it.
I considered it and then I reconsidered.
The REM pod was behind us and it did go off at one point and then it went off a second time for a really long time. And the guide even said, can you please step back? And as soon as she did, the REM pod stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I got. And then we got to go down to the dungeon after that. It was our group's turn.
Well, before we do that, though, we did go back to A Hall by ourselves.
Yes.
And it wasn't very long, so it was during free roam. We picked one of the cells to go into on that first floor. We set up a REM pod, cat toy, 2 flashlights. But Boydston got touched on the shoulder in there.
Forgot about this.
Yes.
What the heck?
And she says, can you touch my friend instead of me? Like, she was really trying to get her to touch you.
She's being a good friend.
And I said, Lindsay's trying too hard.
They do not like, they want me to play hard to get. Okay, fine. I'm going to be like, don't you dare touch me.
At some point I say, it sounds like there's whispering between us talking. It's hard to hear. And then I also thought I could hear a man moaning.
This is interesting. So I put my recorder in bed 10, which is where Scott hangs out. So I did not have a recording from when we were here. Mine is a different one.
I think I wrote it's really hard to hear, so you may not. And apparently we're talking and it's between us all. But something is whispering at the same time we are talking.
Okay. While we were in a hall in a different room, I put my recorder in a random room.
Oh, yeah.
And someone came in with their group, and they said that earlier she had seen a figure in front of the window in that room.
Oh.
So she was talking about that, and then they go to leave, and they're like, oh, is this our recorder? And they're like, oh, no, that's someone else's. And they go, oh, crap, we probably ruined all their EVPs they were trying to get.
Well,
I put, yep.
you sure did.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Sharks.
did.
All right, so should we do the dungeon where we went as a group?
Yeah.
And who was my brave friend?
It was me.
Boydston was brave.
You remember how I always believe in the buddy system?
She does.
I
You
volunteered to sit alone.
You've been getting braver and braver and
Thank
going
you.
off by yourself. Remember at Wyeth Toodle, you went up in the tower alone.
I did. I
Proud of
did.
you. So the dungeon is below A Hall, and it is, I mean, like, very, I hate this word, but very moist rooms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just damp walls, damp floors. It's complete pitch black. This is where we said the guy lost his eyesight because he was down there for 23 hours a day. And this is where Scratch Girl got scratched.
We're down there.
Scratch
where
face
it's
girl.
wet.
It's Scratch face girl.
Scratch Face Girl
Scratch girl is not going to cut it.
she was in the group before us, and she came up all upset, and they said she had just been scratched on the face and there was welts on her face.
And this is where we don't know her name, and we're like,
Yes.
well, it's Scratch Face Girl.
Yes. So we
And it's
were
stuck.
excited. We were like, scratch us. Do it. Let's go. And so when they asked for a volunteer to go off in a room by themselves to do the Phasma box, Boydston volunteered. And I was like, what? Someone just got scratched.
Yeah, and I wrote, I whispered into the recorder that the spirit should scratch Lindsay instead.
So Boydston goes off. She's doing the Phasma box. So while, before you go off, we all heard a humming noise in the background.
Did you catch it?
I did. Did
Me
you
too.
guys?
Yeah. I wrote moan, hum, or singing.
Yeah,
And
it was
then-
weird.
And actually the guide heard this one and she said, that was a solid fucking moan. And Lindsay said, not just a solid moan, but a solid fucking moan.
Good fun. Nothing's happened to anybody. Good fun. Nothing's happened to anybody. Good fun. Nothing's happened to anybody.
So you heard the moan with your own ears, your spirit ears.
Yeah, we called it out.
So someone said pretty much right away, once Boydston goes into the other room, they were like, oh my gosh, my belly was touched.
I wrote that too. I was like,
Belly.
they called it their belly.
She literally called it her belly.
She goes, my belly just got
She thought it was her friends. I'm like, why are your friends touching your belly? All right, so let's get to some Phasma box responses,
Yeah.
Boydston. We asked, were you tortured? And you said rape. We were all hurt. I was scared. I felt alone. Everyone at this point where we are, me and Sarah, feels a cold breeze, which we are underground. There's no windows. There's no draft. Boydston says, I see him. He's coming downstairs. We asked, can you say one of our names? You said, you don't know me. We asked, who hurt the girl last rotation. You said, I did. We said, why would you do something like that? You said, fuck off. Yep. Because I can. Then you said, give me $1. We said, come and get it. You said, where can I find it? I asked, what did you miss the most? Because I felt like people were getting antagonistic. And you said, other people. Which was kind of sad.
A few of my later phrases are, you're a loser.
Oh.
Come closer. You're gonna get it. And in here. And there was a guy in our group that was, like you said, antagonistic.
Yes,
and
he was a Zach.
Yeah,
he
was intense.
I was trying not to be a Zach.
I feel like this was in response to him, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, you're a loser, come closer. And he's like, where do you want me to come? And I said, in here.
Yes. So we did go to the dungeon by ourselves. We weren't down in the dungeon with the group very long. It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah. There were several, the dungeon's a popular place.
Right. Yes,
and there were several people. You can hear everybody's little individual sessions. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really stay down here very long.
When we went down alone, we did the Phasma box again with Boydston. Mm-hmm. And there was another group in the room with us, but it was primarily me and Sarah talking. And I will say,
they just joined us. I would like to narrate this story.
Okay.
I wrote it all down.
You wrote every single response?
Pretty much.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so do you want to say what names she started out saying were in the room with us?
You can do that.
Okay, so you said, like right away, we were like, who's here? And you said, Tim, Tori, he's Adam. And we were all introducing ourselves. So you said 3 names right off the get-go. We said, did someone hurt you? And you said, yes, not recently though. We said, were you hurting people earlier? Because, again, we're talking about Scratch Face Girl and all of that, and someone's belly got touched. You said, he's down here. He's awake. Boydston hears a different language. Sarah,
I did say that. So then I say, sprechen Sie Deutsch? And she says, no. Like, you're annoyed. And then Lindsey says, I cannot with you and your German. And Boydston says, be quiet. And I say, sorry. And Lindsey said, did you just really apologize to a ghost? And I said, of course I did. And Boydston says, good.
And thank you.
Yes.
You said at one point, there's one in here. And then we were telling you to find the lights. We had flashlights set up in REM pod. And you said, we'll find it.
And then you also said, try and touch it. And Lindsey said, we will. And we'll try to keep this PG. And Boydston says, I'll try.
I'll do my best.
I'll do my best. And then I say, what do you like to do for fun?
This is my favorite question.
And Lindsey's like, did you seriously just ask an inmate what they like to do for an inmate that's in the dungeon, what they like to do for fun? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They like to play sports.
Count stones. Said, I don't know. What do you do? Count stones?
My favorite pastime.
They're in pitch black darkness for 23 hours a day, and you think they're counting stones?
That's what I would do. Count stones over and over again.
Boydston, you report hearing a baby crying through the Phasma box at this time.
I'd like to say, though, that when I said, what do you like to do for fun? The other people chimed in and said, oh, well, yeah, they can do sports.
They're like, they had baseball and basketball. And you're like, see, Lindsey.
And then Boydston says, running, jumping.
When we asked, what was your favorite sport? Yes. Yeah. We said, what did you do to get in jail? Or what? Like, why are you here? You said, don't worry.
Don't worry about it. I'm getting tired.
Yes. We asked if you would find the lights before we leave. And you said, I'm busy.
I also apologized after you were getting tired.
She goes, sorry to bother you.
So sorry for bothering you. And Boydston says, are you being serious?
Are you guys being serious? Because I was like, stop apologizing to the spirit, Sarah.
Lindsey says, I have been waiting 2 years for someone to pull my hair. And I say, Lindsey, don't be weird. And then Boydston says, hang in there.
I said,
so supportive.
Ghosty ghost, come on, pull my hair. And Sarah goes, Lindsey, no, don't be weird.
Lindsey, no, stop saying ghosty ghost.
Let's say also there are people in this room with us who are just listening to me and Sarah, and she's telling me not to be weird, and after a while we're like, you're not saying anything, Boydston, through the Phasma box, and I'm like, are you still in here? And you go, trying to be silent.
Letting you guys have your moment.
And then you said, get those people.
Yeah.
So then you took off your headphones and you're like, let's just let everybody hear. And right away we heard Sarah. And then you guys both said you heard my voice coming through. And then it said Lindsey.
I also heard, I'm very sad.
Yes.
I heard the name Sarah several times. And then we heard Christina, and one of the other girls in there was Christina.
We did ask, do you like it when people visit? And it said yes. And there was a female voice that was coming in pretty strong.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah, she was saying like several sentences.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't make out what she was saying.
Mm-hmm. And I did get an EVP at the very end. When I asked them to say bye, I got an EVP saying no. Can you say goodbye?
Okay.
Say bye? No.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they were like,
not.
with how you've acted tonight,
Calling me ghosty ghost, you disrespectful hoe.
you did not call me ghosty ghost. And again, this is 20 seconds before I turn off the recorder before we leave.
Well, here's my question. Like, do ghosts know that they're ghosts? I don't think that they do.
I don't know.
I think some might.
I don't know. I think...
Maybe not all, but I think some might.
So I know that we went to the women's cells and strange things happened here, but I don't have a recording for this. So I'm interested to hear what you guys...
We didn't go there as a group, right? All I have is alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have...
Wait, I'm going to say what happened when we entered. Because there was a big thing printed on the wall. Do you remember this?
I don't remember this.
It was an acronym. We made it an acronym, of course.
Of course we did.
I'm trying to remember what it stood for, but there was like a... What am I trying to say? I keep trying to say shield printed with like words above it.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, something was printed on the wall there with the name of whatever group that they created. A crest. Thank you.
Yes, okay, I gotcha.
Words. And we read the entire thing out, which of course I didn't write down, but we immediately
made it an acronym, as we do.
To Ithaca Titica.
I do not remember this. I did put in
Boydston lost her shit. And then we just kept calling it Ithaca Titica.
I do put in here that we are slap happy, and I'm so sorry.
It's still funny.
I don't remember the Ithaca Titica. How do I not remember this? Oh my gosh,
Just because it was so stupid. I have no idea. And it was literally just right when we walked in. And
maybe I was going bathroom or
Ithaca
something.
Titica is, I don't know what it stands for, but I could go back and find out.
My recording does not contain that. So I think I must have joined you guys later because I honestly have never heard this before.
I was probably whispering
and
it.
Sounds like
All
something
creepy.
that the two of you would come up with without me.
1,000% that's what
Without
happened.
Lindsay's supervision, this is what happens.
Without my supervision.
And then we continued to laugh about this for the entire recording, and we kept saying it over and over.
This is where you were fed up with me because I thought I heard something and I shushed you, and you go, I swear to God, if you shush me one more time.
Oh, no.
I'm going to throw you over this railing.
Probably at that point, she had already been shushed by...
That's why.
It was like a minute in, literally, and you were like...
It wasn't just you. It was a trigger for me, okay?
But
just because from the whole night, I've been shushed.
I will say, I forgot to say this in the dungeon
Mad.
when we went down in the dungeon alone, that I did catch a that your spirit ears heard.
Oh, okay.
Let the record show your spirit ears heard it.
Records have shown.
All right.
My spears.
So I'm going to play the sounds the noises that I heard, and Sarah got mad at me for shushing her. So I don't know if it was like a door creaking open or if it was like a laugh or scream. It's something weird.
Sounds like brakes on a car, but like really close.
It was
in the cell.
Something unusual. So this place at the women's cell is where we heard a ton of tap, 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 tappity, tap,
Tippity
tap.
taps.
We were enthralled by these taps in the window.
I don't know if we ever debunked it.
We did it.
You tried.
We tried.
To your strength, you tried very hard. It was not successful.
We had a ton of tapping in this window, and we are very slap happy, but we were trying to get them to answer us by saying
Oh my
2
God.
taps means no, 1 tap means yes.
And at one point we said, spell it out in taps. And then I say, like, do, 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 do. And Boydston's like, yeah, we're in Morse code. That's what we really mean. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's that. And then I said, well, it got really quiet. And I go, well, here we are, talking to a window. Boydston says, are you there, God? It's me, the tipsy ghost.
I love it. We were very slap happy. The only thing I got in there besides the tapping was that right when we got there, I got that laugh or scream or whatever it was.
That's actually pretty good.
Thank you.
I thought you were just shushing me because I was being loud.
No, I was shushing you because I heard something and I caught it.
I wasn't aware.
She was jealous of the Inika Titika.
My spirit ears caught something.
God.
I didn't even know about the Inika Titika until tonight when you guys brought it up. So now I know why you were being ridiculous.
Any chance we get to make an acronym, we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Yeah. It's
So
a special skill.
Surprisingly got quite a bit of evidence, I feel like, here. What do you guys
Surprisingly indeed.
Yeah. No, I got a few EVPs that I didn't really expect.
I feel like we didn't catch a lot the first time.
No, I agree. I think the most compelling thing we caught was that Sarah.
The first time?
The weird, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's one of the top pieces of evidence that I show to people.
I agree.
Oh.
When they good one.
When they find out about that I do a podcast and I ghost hunting, the number one question I get asked is, have you ever caught anything? I show them the Belvoir EVP and I show them the Missouri State Pen Sarah EVP.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Classic.
I feel like, praise the Lord, we did not have to do the human pendulum this time. But we did have some more people getting touched. More people feeling...
Lots of people get in touch,
feeling things and seeing things than I feel like last time around.
I was very jealous of Scratch Face Girl.
Yeah.
But you got touched.
I wish I knew her name so that we couldn't call her Scratch Face Girl, but we should call her Stephanie.
Did you guys actually see the welts on her face?
I didn't look that close. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't shine a flashlight in her face, so I didn't
We
really
were just
look.
in passing, I feel like, with her.
She was very upset, I will say that.
She was upset when she came out from the dungeon.
Yeah.
But I feel like we did get a little bit more evidence as far as recordings, EVPs.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually surprised by the amount that we got.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we'll be able to isolate everything.
Right.
Like I said, one of the recorders that I specifically listened to and had was the one that failed us at Malvern.
Yeah.
But even so, I was still able to get a few things.
Sure.
Which was very interesting to me with that specific recorder. So if I'm able to isolate anything off of it, I'm going to be very happy.
Yeah.
I do know that I have at least one, possibly two things that I know are very compelling.
And I feel like the door was a really cool experience for all of us.
I wish we had that one on video, but...
Yeah, I did. In my recording, I even say I'm pulling out my cell phone to record the door, but it's pitch black. Like, you couldn't see anything, and I'm not going to shine a flashlight when everybody else is in the dark.
But could you see the bat?
No, I could not see that. I could see the bat with my eyes, but not with my cell phone.
So, should we go back a third time to MSP, or are we done?
Oh, I would absolutely go back.
Yeah.
I love MSP. I honestly love it. I would love to do a very small group.
Yeah.
I know we couldn't ever do a private, but I would love to do a small group where it's not 100 people.
Right.
We can do a private. It's not terribly expensive.
Maybe we will take some people with us. So you guys let us know if you want to come with us to Missouri State Pen. Because it's huge. We don't need it all just the three of us.
Yeah.
What is you guys' rating?
Oh, I mean, it's up there. Cumulative.
Let's do just this past visit, and then let's do a cumulative.
Just this past is an 8.
Past visit is a 9.
Okay. Cumulative.
7.5.
8.
We highly recommend Missouri State Pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we will make sure to post all of the evidence that we have gathered either in this episode or it will be on our socials at thetipsyghost.com. You can find every social linked from there. You can always find us at thetipsyghost@gmail.com as well if you want to drop us a line. Make sure you check out our socials this week, though, so you can see all the evidence that we captured.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it, and it really does help.
All right, guys. We will catch you guys next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.